My question is fiscal. With $450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and $600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Oba Messi. I want to use this medium to thank you all for engaging yourself in my videos. Let's talk about it. This woman, speaking during a town hall, bring forward a critical concern. The government is funneling millions into ICE, an institution famous for human rights abuse, while American families face homelessness due to flooding. What we need is solidarity, not scapegoating, investing in people, not punishment. We must push for a Green New Deal, community-based disaster response system, and the abolition of ICE. Organize locally, demand transparency in your city budget. Ask where is our money going.
Americans went to the polls in November, and they had a choice between a Democratic candidate that had an open border, no enforcement, fentanyl, drugs, human trafficking. And they had a choice between that and a candidate that said, close the border, get illegal immigrants out of our country, stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, stop the drugs, stop the crime, stop the violence. That's what Americans voted for. Americans voted for a border that is secure. And I support the president enforcing our immigration laws.
I have read a dozen or so books on authoritarianism and fascism. You said in Seward that you were not a fascist. Your complicity says otherwise. Have you ever spoken out against this administration and its Project 2025, which is a fascist machine?
Fascists don't hold town halls with open question and answer series.
Overnight, Congressman Mike Flood facing a barrage of pushback as he tries to sell his constituents on President Trump's agenda. The Nebraska Republican getting an earful for his support of Trump's massive tax and spending bill.
There's been a lot of misinformation out there about the bill.
Flood attempting to walk the audience through the health care provisions in the bill, but the crowd interrupting and jeering him.
I can tell you, we're going to see an influx of money into Nebraska hospitals.
One constituent.
Flood, ICE is part of growing surveillance and punishment economy. This isn't about safety, it's about profit private contractors, surveillance tech, companies, and prison operators benefit from bloated ICE budgets. Meanwhile, FEMA is underfunded, public health is neglected, disaster relief is politicized. If this happened in a wealthy sub-world, will the federal government still be this silent?
Constituent calling for calm.
I implore you to be quiet so that we can hear his responses. Remember, Mike's coming up for a re-election, and we'd really like to know what his responses are.
The bill, the cornerstone of Trump's agenda, is projected to cause more than 10 million Americans to lose their health care coverage over the next decade due to its cuts to Medicaid.
If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health care.
A new analysis by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office now estimates the legislation will add more than $4 trillion to the national debt over the next decade, up from the previous estimate of $3.4 trillion. The increase due in part to the roughly $4 trillion in tax cuts, mostly for the wealthiest Americans included in the final bill. But it wasn't just the legislation sparking outrage. One man pointing to the January 6th attack on the Capitol and Trump's pardons of more than 1,500 people involved.
You said in Seward that you were not a fascist. Your complicity says otherwise. Have you ever spoken out against this administration?
Sir, I want to be very clear with you. Give me a chance to answer his question, I'd be happy to. Fascists don't hold town halls with open question and answer series.
Now, the congressman was pressed on everything from the controversy over Jeffrey Epstein to the president's firing of the top official in charge of the jobs report and cuts to the education department. Now, after a contentious 90 minutes, that town hall ending with chants of vote him out.
This is Mike Flood. He just held a town hall in Lincoln, Nebraska to try to sell Trump's big, beautiful bill, but instead he ended up getting an earful from his constituents. Watch.
My question is fiscal. With 450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and 600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
Yeah, who would have thought that backing policies that gut SNAP, veterans benefits, and Medicaid could be so unpopular? But let's go to the next question because I promise you, it was worth the wait. Watch.
Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
In that moment, Mike becomes very pro-transparency, which is really odd because just last week, House Republicans forced the Congress to shut down in order to avoid releasing the files.
GOP rep Mike Flood had a town hall in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it did not go well. Check it out.
If you are able to work and you are able-bodied, you have to work. If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health care. Okay. So here's a question. Do you think that people who are 28 years old that can work and refuse to work should get free health care?
And I'll just say it, the tide is turning. We are absolutely fed the fuck up hearing from these politicians while they give tax breaks to billionaires that we can't even afford health care for its citizens when every other advanced country has figured this out. Eat the rich.
When was the last time you saw $8.4 million invested in your child's school, in your hospital, in your road repair? The US is the richest country in the world, yet its citizens are told there are never enough money for healthcare, housing, or environmental protections. But there's always money for war, prison, and ICE.
Americans are badgering elected Republicans everywhere they're willing to show their faces, including tonight in Nebraska, Republican Congressman Mike Flood holding a town hall with his red state constituents. Watch.
Hi, I implore you to be quiet so that we can hear his responses. Remember, Mike's coming up for a re-election, and we'd really like to know what his responses are. I'm Rosina. I write you emails with concerns of your voting behavior regarding Trump and his actions. You support him, especially confirming the cabinet. Your responses are riddled with misinformation and lies. I fact check you, and then I send the responses back. And I get crickets. If I am fact checking them because they are wrong in your response, I send them back to you and I get crickets. I get kind of bummed. And this is not about partisan. This is about issues because we're about to lose our democracy.
My question is fiscal. With 450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and 600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
That was in Nebraska. tonight at a town hall held by Republican Congressman Mike Flood, him hearing from his constituents tonight. We have total clarity now on what Trump's intentions are for the country. But I mean it when I say we. The country gets it and is more against it than they've ever been. And opposing this administration and what Trump is trying to do is turning out to be the story of the century.
Are for a border that is secure. And I support the president enforcing our immigration laws, which, by the way, were written by Congress.
I want to ask, why does it seem like when you make your voting decisions, they're based on capital rather than the working class? Billionaires and corporations got their tax issues enshrined into law forever, but the working class gets a no tax on tips or overtime that only applies to some of us, and now we wind up in a situation where we are. Funded by riches. Funded by the richest billionaires.
With all due respect, sir, the Republican Party, now more than ever, represents the heart and soul of the working class. These are the other important parts of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Next slide, please.
Tensions erupting at a lawmakers' town hall. With the House in summer recess, many members are back home meeting with constituents. And for Nebraska Republican Mike Flood, things got a little bit testy last night, early and often, as he defended President Trump's policies and was confronted on issues from the economy to Jeffrey Epstein. Listen.
Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
At the next pro forma session of the Congress, you'll find my name as a sponsor on a resolution.
There's a saying that silence is complicity. Your silence tells us that you have no problem with the January 6th attack on the Capitol, the pardoning of all those involved, the big lie about the 2020 election with absolutely no evidence. These are all markers. These are markers of fascism. I have read a dozen or so books on authoritarianism and fascism. You said in Seward that you were not a fascist. Your complicity says otherwise. Have you ever spoken out against this administration and its Project 2025, which is a fascist machine? Have you ever spoken out? There are a number of people, it's been reported many times in the news that there are a number of our colleagues, Republican colleagues, who do not like this man and they speak against him behind closed doors in private. Maybe you're one of them. There is a thing, profiles encourage. Why don't any of you, because you know better, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Sir, I want to be very clear with you. Give me a chance to answer his question, I'd be happy to. Fascists don't hold town halls with open question and answer series.
Just because you're holding a microphone in a public forum doesn't mean you're being transparent. And when you duck questions about extremism while backing policies straight out of Project 2025, people are right to question who you're really working for. And it doesn't look like you're working for them, like at all, dude.
Please don't forget to like, share, and press the notification button. Love you.